What is up, guys? It is AJ from MMA Experts, and we are talking about the possible kryptonite to current welterweight champion Kamaru Usman, Khamzat Chimaev. Let's bring him up. He's the man. There he is. If you guys don't know about him, you should, and I bet a lot of you do. He looks amazing. He's 2-0 in the octagon, and he is only 26 years old. I want to compare Usman and him and talk about a potential fight in the near future, which I do believe is very possible. So let's talk about Usman first because he is the champion. He's been around for a long time. He's now 33 years old. He was 28 when he made his octagon debut against Haider Hassan, winning there. He came into the octagon at 5-1 versus Boers, who came in at 6-0. So record-wise, a little bit better for Boers. Unbeaten. You see the one loss here in Usman's second pro bout. Granted, that's a long time ago. Submission loss. It happens. But if you look, since then has been perfect. He wins his debut very impressively by arm triangle, and then a unanimous decision over the 10-2 at the time Leon Edwards. If you look at the two fights for Boers, you see destruction of John Phillips at middleweight and then a destruction of Rhys McKee at welterweight. So in terms of more impressive victories, I would say it goes to Boers in terms of finish. But in terms of who he fought, let's be honest, Leon Edwards turned out to be an elite level welterweight, and that was the second bout in the octagon for Kamaru Usman, and he won that fight. So obviously he was tested earlier. Granted, he had the defeat. He was also 2 years older. If you look though, since then, Usman has been on a solid streak. He wins most of his fights by decision, but he does have a knockout of Sergio Moraes there, and then a knockout of Colby Covington. But other than that, he also has an arm triangle submission. So he's won mostly decisions. If you see, there's 3 finishes in his UFC career against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 decisions. So at the end of the day, he's a decision fighter that can go the distance, which may be his advantage over somebody like Khamzat Chimaev if that time does come up. But the difference is Khamzat Chimaev is a fighter that goes for the kill from start to finish. Granted, he's never been past, I believe, the second round, so we don't know the type of gas tank that he has at this point. But there's a lot of bright things about Khamzat. If you look, his destruction of Rhys McKee and John Phillips, what did he do? He got them down to the ground immediately and beat the hell out of them. But let's not forget, he trains with Alexander Gustafsson. He's one of his main sparring partners, a heavyweight right now, former light heavyweight. So a guy that's over 205 pounds all the time. He's a big dude, and Khamzat's only 170, and supposedly Gustafsson said Khamzat gives him the work. So I feel like Khamzat has that strength of a heavier guy. Now, Usman also has that. He's a big dude. He is 2 inches shorter, but you see Khamzat here has a 75-inch reach. Kamaru Usman, 77.5. So 2.5-inch reach advantage. But I will be honest with you. Looking back, I see the striking skill of Khamzat Chimaev. It's actually very solid. He trains at the All-Star Gym with these very good strikers, so he's developed really good striking as well. Knockout victories on the feet, had a brutal uppercut knockout of a Sambo champion. He himself is a wrestling champion, and then you see Usman, also a wrestling champion. Both have wrestling backgrounds. One's American wrestling. One is obviously Chechen wrestling. Still, both wrestling, but I feel like those guys from the Russian area and all the Caucasus and whatever West Asia type, I guess you would consider that, are very intense with their mindset. They're warriors. And at the end of the day, I feel like Kamaru Usman is also a warrior and a great fighter, but styles are different. Chimaev is a finisher. Usman is a winner. Now, does that mean that Usman would not beat Chimaev? No, I'm not saying that. But if you look at a guy who could potentially challenge Usman sometime in the near future, it's Khamzat Chimaev. Granted, he's got 2 fights in the octagon. Let's not rush, but let's just talk about the possibility of a year from now, he may have 6 fights in the octagon. If he fights 4 more times in this next 12 months, very possible if he's taking minimal damage, maybe he fights more. Maybe he fights 5 times. Maybe he only fights twice. Maybe he only fights once. We don't know. There's things that could happen. But granted, as of right now, at the rate that he is going, I see him as a top 15 contender inside of 12 months. I believe the UFC sees that as well. They're giving him that push. He's a guy they want at the top. I believe him and Usman one day will fight if Khamzat Chimaev actually, continues with his progress at a good rate and Usman doesn't get defeated somewhere along the lines. I think that this kid could be the kryptonite to Usman. Maybe not right now, because at the end of the day, he's very young. But at the end of the day, also, end of the day is something I say all the time. I'm overusing it. But at the end of the day, you could see Khamzat Chimaev stylistically matching up well. High-level wrestling and good kickboxing. Usman's a decent striker, but he's nowhere near the level of striking of somebody like a Jorge Masvidal. Khamzat Chimaev trains alongside elite strikers all the time. I believe Khamzat Chimaev may be the kryptonite to Kamaru Usman. Now, if they fought right now, obviously you got to give the edge to Usman. He has championship experience. Look at his record. He's 17-1, and he's also 33 years old, beating elite fighters. So obviously the resume of Usman is much superior to Khamzat Chimaev. But give Khamzat Chimaev 12 months. Give him then maybe 16 months, maybe 18 months. Who knows? If the UFC is willing to push him on the fast track, we could see this fight in 2 years, and I would love to see it. I feel like it would be a good time, too, because if you see 33, how much longer is Usman going to be at that elite level? Maybe till he's 36? Maybe till he's 37? How long is his reign going to last? Gilbert Burns is coming up, and Gilbert Burns is nasty. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know who would really threaten Kamaru Usman besides Gilbert Burns at this point. Maybe Jorge Masvidal, but at the end of the day, that's a bad style matchup for Masvidal. Leon Edwards is very skilled, but I don't know if he can beat Kamaru Usman. It's a similar thing with the Masvidal fight. I believe he'd be controlled a bit. Burns right now is the true dark horse in the weight class, the scariest guy for him. As you go down, you could also say Wonderboy Thompson maybe stylistically could do okay. He has very good range management. If you keep looking down, Michael Chiesa's there, but I don't think Chiesa would beat Kamaru Usman. I don't see that. None of these fighters, as you go back, maybe Geoff Neal, if he beats Neil Magny, then puts himself into the mix. Obviously, Santiago Ponzinibbio is very skilled, but does he compete? I don't know. I'm just saying there's a guy to watch out for, and his name is Khamzat Chimaev. This guy is the real deal. He's 26. I believe give him 2 more years. He should be able to be a world champion or at least world title challenger at the least if he doesn't have the gas tank. That's the one concern. We haven't seen it. If he doesn't have the gas tank. But what if he doesn't need the gas tank? What if he out-wrestles Usman when they fight? I don't know. Crazy idea. Crazy video. I like Khamzat Chimaev. Obviously, you guys can tell. I see a lot of potential in the kid. He has that superstar quality. He's got the mindset and also the results in the octagon. 8-0. Did he fight amateur as well? They don't have it listed, but I know he did, and he got victories there. He's a finisher. Every victory by finish. He's not there to win by points, which is something that's going to sell. The UFC will put him on the fast track. Now, next opponent, I don't know. I mean, if we check out the rankings, we can just for fun see if we can find somebody. I did bring up in my post-fight show, I would like to see him fight Diego Lima. I think he smashes Diego Lima. I think that's a terrible matchup for Lima that Lima probably shouldn't take. But hey, maybe they want to give him somebody more along the lines of Cowboy Oliveira. I think he crushes Cowboy Oliveira. I think stylistically, he's so much better on the ground than a lot of these guys. If you move him up closer to the top, okay, we're going to get some challenges for him. Granted, I do believe he can beat these guys. I know people say, oh, you're rushing this kid. You're thinking he's this good after just 2 wins against Cans. It's the way he's beating them. At the end of the day, he's beating them like a world champion would. A world champion would beat a Can just like that. And granted, Rise McKee and John Phillips are not cans. They're just not elite-level fighters. Rise McKee, though, is actually, I believe, better than John Phillips in terms of skill set. Granted, he's the smaller man, but I think Rise McKee does have a future in the UFC. If you look down this list, though, man, I see Khamzat Chimaev building his way to the top. I can see his name right here with Usman. I could see him beating Kobe. I see him doing a lot of damage in this division. 170, if you move him up to 185, I think he's a nightmare matchup for a lot of guys. He doesn't have the longest reach, but he's also got very precise striking. Let's not forget he's got a good kicking game as well, even though we have not seen it. If you only watch the UFC fights of him, of course, you haven't seen his striking, but he's a very technical striker, and he brought that up in the post-fight show, or excuse me, the post-fight press conference. He said, listen, I'm a striker. I started striking. My coach tells me to take the fight to the ground. I take it to the ground, but I can strike. And I would love to see him strike in his next fight, and I believe he'll surprise a lot of people. I think Khamzat Chimaev is the real deal. I really do believe it. I believe he could be the kryptonite for the great champion Kamaru Usman. Right now, only other person I see really being a threat to Usman's title is Gilbert Burns, so we may not even be talking about an Usman fight at some point, or maybe that fight still happens even if Usman loses to Burns. But this is pretty much it. Fun little video. Khamzat Chimaev, guys, we got to keep an eye on him. I don't see him losing anytime soon. People like to compare him to Khabib. I think that he's on a different level. I think his striking is superior to Khabib's. Also, he's got good grappling too. He's not the same ethnicity though. He is Chechen. He's not Dagestani. People kind of mix that up probably. I guess they do kind of look alike, both Russian Federation. At the end of the day, Khamzat Chimaev, up-and-coming guy, possible kryptonite to Kamaru Usman. I appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video.